People who separated/divorced within 1 year of getting married, when did you know it was a mistake? The day after we got married, when he slapped me across the face, hard and completely out of the blue. No argument, no conversation leading up to it, nothing. He said it wasn't that hard of a hit, he was just kidding around, and I was being overdramatic. He had never gotten violent with me while dating, but as soon as we got married it was like a switch flipped and he was a completely different person. It got worse very quickly, and I ended up filing for divorce 73 days after we got married. That reminded me of the scene in It, book version, when Bev's husband slaps her as a test to see what he can get away with. I'm glad you escaped quickly. Holy asterisk, I'm reading that book now and it totally reminded me of that scene too. A friend of a friend husband's hit her on their wedding night. His mother came in the room when she was lying on the ground crying and did nothing. Apparently his dad used to hit his mother, and so she was like, well, this is just what husbands do. Edit. People getting triggered by the use of friend of a friend. This is a friend of my best mate who I've had a few nights out with and met the husband before they got married, but never close enough for her to tell me these details. A female colleague of mine was getting beaten on a regular basis by her boyfriend. Here is a direct quote from her own mother. Well, if he ain't beating y'all, then how y'all know he truly loves you? Not a year, but about 18 months. She was constantly complaining she didn't have friends after moving in with me. Joined a local soccer team, and she talked about one teammate non-stop for months. I had a bad feeling about it from the get-go, but she assured me they were just friends, and how dare I not trust her? Thought I was going crazy because my gut told me something wasn't right, but I was punishing myself for being a bad husband and not trusting my wife. Turned out it was all true. She had been asterisking the teammate for months. Most likely asterisked someone else during our engagement. Split amicably officially as of last week without any mess, thank God. A cousin of mine married someone who seemed like the perfect woman. They worked in the same store together, and he would brag about how his wife was getting promoted quickly in the company. A few months into the marriage, she tells him she's going out with friends for the evening. An hour or so later, my cousin gets a call from one of his friends. The friend saw her having dinner in a restaurant with the manager of the store that they both worked at. Once he confronted her about it, that was basically the end of the marriage. This was similar to a friend of mine. His wife spent years trying to alienate him from his friends. After they got married, they bought a house near his job. She decided she didn't like the commute to her job, even though it was practically the same, and started staying at her parents'. Friend finds out from her parents she hasn't been staying there. Turns out she was going out and partying with co-workers, then staying with an ex. Got married in late May. By August or September I found out from my dad that my husband, now ex, and my brother's wife were. She was also my bridesmaid at our wedding. She felt guilty and told my dad, who had to tell me. I forgave him like a dingus, and about a year and a half later I found pictures of him sucking 2 different asterisks in our house and also wearing quite a bit of my nice makeup. All of this after we moved to Washington from Florida. It's been wild. We're obviously divorced now. Edited for clarity, since I guess that needed to be said. I had to reread this like 5 times before I realized it was your husband and not your dad that was sexting your brother's wife. I was close to drawing a diagram until I figured it out. The next morning I woke up and thought, when would be a socially acceptable time to get divorced? In hindsight, that says miles about why I felt I had to get married. 10 years seems pretty reasonable. I could probably last 10 years. Couples counseling within 6 months, separated within the year, asterisk storm of a divorce, and finally free 2 years after that. Would I do it all over again? I'm sure it took years of my life, but I learned so many invaluable lessons about myself along the way. Take care of yourself first, kids. Put that oxygen mask on before you help anyone else. The day after the wedding, when he poked me in the chest and said, "You're going to do what I say whether you like it or not." Ugh. Big mistake. This happened to both my aunt and my mother-in-law. Husbands-to-be were sweet as pie and super caring, totally charming, etc. Day of the wedding, after they say I do, it was like a literal light switch. I believe they both said something along the lines of, "You're my property now and you'll do as I say," and when they didn't they were beat for it. I'm so glad they both got out, but it took my aunt 5 years I believe, and my mother-in-law 10. Best girlfriend I had to date at the time. I was in my late 30s, had never been married. Dated about a year. Got married. Shortly after, she asked to have her name on all of my assets, a few rental houses, current house, and some financial instruments, the cars. Not a problem as we were married, I thought, but on a Wednesday she insisted it be done by that Friday. I didn't have time to do that because work in a deadline. I could start it the next week, I said. She pitched a fit and said if I loved her I would do it by Friday. I found this strange and decided not to start it and see what happened. She moved out of our bedroom into a guest room. Got cold around the house, told me she would move back into our bedroom when I finished getting everything done. At this point I thought, bull asterisk, and told her so. I went to my family lawyer to seek advice. She advised me not to put anything in her name at this point. Gave me the name of a marriage counselor. She didn't want to go to counseling, she continued to live in the guest room. I took my lawyer's advice and did nothing about the assets. The long and short of it was after 1 year off marriage, when on our anniversary she told me I didn't have her in my heart, I thought to myself, this is bull . About a week after that I told her if this is the way it's going to be, I'm not going to be married like this. She then told me, okay, so what are you going to give me? Yes, she said that. I consulted my lawyer on what a judge would come up with regarding community property for the past year. Number came up to 20G. I took that number and added about 20 grand and proposed that to her so we can make it easy. I was going to spend more than that in lawyer's fees if it got ugly. It got ugly. A week later I got served with papers, with all said in the complaint. When added up, she was going after $750,000 for 1 year of marriage. 1 year of divorce proceedings and 2 years of property settlement proceedings on what should have been a 2-hour problem. Judgment came, 215 points in the judgment. I owed her what would have been the community property, about 20 grand, but awarded me attorney's fees. So in net, she owed me about 30 grand and left her to go buy her own car. Turns out this judge had worked her asterisk off through school to become a lawyer and the same to become a judge by 40 years old. I was told by another attorney that normally this judge never gives attorney's fees, but was so pissed off at the gold dig my wife attempted, that she felt it was justified in this case. Even though I came out okay financially, it was an emotional train wreck to have this happen and go through all that. It's been 15 years since it happened. I was not dateable for about 2 years, but now very happy with where I am and who I'm with. Edit. Wow, this reply to the op really blew up. Thanks much for the silver and gold. These are a first for me. Not sure, how do I find out who gave those to me so I can thank them directly? I can probably Google that. Smiley face. Lots of good comments. I'm trying to answer each question but might take me a while. I'm in SE Asia right now and will be heading to bed soon. Thanks much for your thoughts. This happened 15 years ago so I am over the hurt, but the thoughts that you have been sending me have been uplifting. For the others with the stories similar to mine, and worse, I feel for you, I really do. I don't wish this type of thing on anybody. Divorce can be nasty and I don't wish it on anyone. But in the case of damaging relationships, it's a tough but needed remedy. My mom is like this woman, a serial divorce digger. She divorced my dad when I was 6 and was extremely hostile with custody battles. One time she withheld my sibling and I from our Friday evening with dad, not overnight, once every 2 weeks, because he showed me how to drink from the milk carton instead of using a glass. I'm in my 20s and she is on her 5th marriage. As an adult I befriended 2 previous stepfathers to get their sides of the story. She gets married, accuses them of being emotionally abusive, and takes their savings. Paid for her boob job with one of them. I'm sharing all this to say that goddamned do I love hearing your story. I yelled, *yes, at my screen reading the last 3 paragraphs. Edit. My mother's actual profession is a marriage counselor. I'm not *ing joking. Her last 3 husbands all have the same first name. I always joke saying, at least she knows what she likes.